Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and welcome to the Elder Scrolls 6 Wishlist series, a series designed to help dictate the future of the Elder Scrolls franchise. Every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or at least we try to, sit down and talk about the future of Elder Scrolls. What should Bethesda take inspiration from? What should they learn from previous products? And what should they do moving into the future? We discuss all of that here on this series. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the races of Elder Scrolls and how they should have specific quest lines. Today's comment comes from Tyler Thompson, who says racially specific quest lines. This would add to replay value and roleplay value, getting in touch with my character's racial heritage by learning about their culture through a sizable quest line. For instance, take an orc. You could explore their past through things relating to Malakath, and also explore their life within a stronghold. Maybe you ascend the ranks of a stronghold and challenge the chief to become chief yourself and lead within an orc stronghold. That would add incentive for me to play an orc where I never felt any desire to in a previous Elder Scrolls game. Now, number one, Tyler, I completely relate with you. I've actually never done an orc playthrough in an Elder Scrolls game myself. But more along the point, when I saw this comment, I got thinking about when I'm creating my character, what incentivizes me to pick a specific race, whether I'm going dark elf, high elf. I usually pick an elf of any type because I just am a sucker for elves. So what would make me pick a different one outside of that, like an Argonian? And I think Tyler hit the nail on the head here, that it's not just the stat bonuses, which is what really has determined what I like to pick, although like I said, I'm a sucker for elves, so a lot of it comes down to aesthetic preferences. But more importantly than anything, I focus on the stat bonuses like anyone else out there. Some people might pick Argonians because they swim around a lot and they think that the underwater breathing is very helpful. What if, on top of the stat bonuses, we were picking a story that could make it even more interesting and add to our role-playing value, not just replay value when you start up a new character, but when you're building that first character, it's about role-playing. It's like, what race do I want to be closely tied to? On top of this, this will inform newer gamers about all the races in the Elder Scrolls franchise. A lot of the times this information comes from books, and I encourage reading those books in Elder Scrolls, but to tell you the truth, not many people do get into those, and so perhaps this brief backstory could introduce them to some of the lore behind each and every race as they, for example, play as an orc and rise through the ranks. But on top of that, I like Tyler's wish a lot because it does give me a reason to go and try these other races. As I just admitted earlier, yeah, I've never done an orc playthrough. They've never really appealed to me. The same thing with a Nord. I built one for shits and giggles, but it never felt interesting to me, especially in Skyrim, because they were just so, I guess, typical, so to say. So yeah, I'd love to see racial specific quest lines because I think it would add a lot to the game. We also have to take into account that there are, at least when we look at Skyrim, 10 races. I don't think it's much to ask for 10 racial quest lines for each of these races, especially if they're not something drawn out, but something that kind of sparks up in the beginning of the game and goes on until about the middle of the game, depending on how you play it, but it overall doesn't take too long to complete and could be filtered into the length of, for example, a faction quest line like a Thieves Guild or a Dark Brotherhood, something along those lines where it's not a full-length story mode, but it's something that is sizable enough to give you a good story as you, for example, rise through the ranks as an orc. On top of that, I think this is a chance for us to not leave as much to the imagination and actually experience some of the culture within our favorite races. Rather than just reading the book and thinking, oh man, I wonder how that went down, we might actually have a chance within these racial quest lines to see just that. Furthermore, I think this would be a great opportunity for us to tie ourselves closely to these races that we love oh so much. It would just be an extra incentive to get closer. Where, for example, I think during that first playthrough, I'd still go elf because I'd want to experience that elf backstory. But then on that second playthrough, I think that it would also be a good incentive to try someone new rather than just build another elf. And what would make each playthrough even more unique is if there was racial recognition throughout the quest lines you experience, more so than previous Elder Scrolls games, because Skyrim does it from time to time, but you see it a lot more in the older ones. And I think that would bring an extra element to the game where it's not just, okay, I'm getting a racial specific quest line and then I'm experiencing the same Companions Guild, the same Thieves Guild, and so on as everyone else. But instead, if there's more racial recognition, there's different forms of treatment based on which race you are, I think that could also add to the experience as well to make picking races a much more precious process for us and also a more valuable process come that second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on playthrough. Anyway, Tyler, thank you for such a fantastic wish. Thank you guys for supporting Tyler with this awesome wish in the comments down below, as you guys always decide where each and every conversation goes every single week in the Elder Scrolls 6 wishlist series. So I'd love to see what you guys think in the comments down below this week. Other than that, be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, the links are in the description down below. Be sure to consider contributing to our Patreon. It helps fuel all the content we create here. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.